Welcome. Season 5, episode number 3. I have a returning guest again, which I always love having because we get to continue our journey or the musical journey story. I have Zack Keim coming in from Pittsburgh. And today we are going to talk a lot about his new record. We kind of got an intro to Zack back in episode 1, believe it or not, people. I think he was actually... Zach, you might help me with this, but I think you were episode 14 or 14. That number is popping out around, but very early on when this cast was just getting going, and we had such a great conversation. I listened to it today, and I'm just so happy that Zach is here. So Zach, welcome to If It Be Your Will podcast for number 2.
Well, thanks for having me, Chris. As always, I've done a lot of podcasts, but I think your podcast has been one of my faves in my musical journey or career. So.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. We love you here too. I've been following, and it's been quite the adventure as of late. So Zach just put out a self-released record called Battery Lane. Came out February 7th of this year. Epic record. Zach, you'd been working on this for a while, right? Because I just looked at the years. So you put your first record out 2017, self-titled, First Steps it was called, and 2017, and then 2025 your second album comes out. Now, yes, you had your Knox Boys had a record that came out in between that time, but quite a distance of time that took place. And I feel like singles for you were coming out pretty, like, how many singles did you have off of Battery Lane that you'd put out before the record?
We would have, so first was, I'm just going off the top of my head, but
trust. But I think it was like Canyon came out.
Canyon was
a single.
2022.
Yeah, Better Days also was a single.
That came out later. Yeah, that was 2024, 2023 probably.
Yeah, and Alice 2 is an older song.
Yeah, it was Canyon, Alice, Better Days, Maggie.
Right.
I did a Pixies cover, and then when the record rolled out, I did Incredible, Washington D.C., Battery Lane in 25 years, and then the record came out.
Wow. So, like, as you were building, like, obviously these songs weren't all recorded in one sitting. Can you kind of walk us through, like, how is this record assembled? Like, how did the songs come to be over, it seems like a nice period of time. Like, how did the record come to be assembled together this way, with all those singles that had come out and then the launch of the record this year?
I don't know. I think that I just kind of, my whole theory with releasing this record was that I wanted to be an active musician where I was touring, and I was touring while this record was being recorded and written. And I was in the studio at the same time. And then I was releasing singles, and then I released Canyon, and then that came out, and then that randomly caught the attention of like random people like Ryan Adams, oddly enough, finding that music song and posting that for like hundreds of thousands of people, and like Reckless Eric, and then Matt Costa found my music, and then when Matt Costa found my music, he's like, "Hey man, come out to the beach in California, let's work on Better Days," and that's all that. So it was like just all these like random events of me releasing music and people finding my music, and working with collaborators in Pittsburgh, Jake Hanner and Chad Montague and Josh and my friend Jordan and a bunch of other people that I trust. And then I think when we were talking, I was going on this last podcast when I was on your podcast, talking about, I think it was my first solo tour, going over and doing
that's right,
Europe and Spain on my own.
That's it. Yeah. I think you were just back. You were a few days just back, so you're still kind of jet lagged and stuff. Which I think added to our conversation actually. But yeah, for sure. Like I remember that and hearing about how Spain was just like all over your music.
Yeah, I think so. And a little bit, well, kind of not actually in a way, because I think that, when you're transitioning, I don't know if this is a question that a lot of artists bring up, but maybe artists that come from like different, like starting in one genre, which is like garage rock, which is like a very pigeonholed sort of genre, I think, to some
Hmm.
people. But I think that like people in Spain wanted to hear my garage rock songs, and then I started doing my own stuff, and they're like, "Oh, Canyon, cool song, Better Days, cool, cool vibe." So
Right.
like they slowly got warmed up to it, and then
Mm,
when I came back on my second Spanish tour, my music got I got a random. I remember I was like driving Uber at like Pittsburgh Airport, and I
mm,
remember I got a random DM from Evan Westfall, and he's from this band called Camp, two
right.
A's,
Yeah.
AAMP, and they're a really humongous band. They like tour with like Lumineers and stuff. But he
Hmm.
discovered my music, and then he eventually put out a cassette tape for me, and then we sold out of the cassette tape, and
That was on his label, right?
yeah,
Super
Super
Sport
Sport
Records,
Records.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And we just became really close friends. And he's
Mm.
been through the music industry and he's a touring and active artist. And I was trying to figure out who was going to put out the record, like emailing labels, like
Mm.
some pretty label, big label, indie labels and different
Hmm.
things. And I don't know. I just decided that I wanted to own everything, own all my music.
Okay.
And Evan was like, I think for him, because he just started this kind of small startup label that um he wanted to kind of push out his label, and we just both agreed to. I agreed to put out the first pressing of my album Battery Lane on his label. Super.
Okay.
We
Right.
pressed 1,000 copies.
Nice. Nice. And so do you retain your rights then? Like was that the agreement that
Yeah,
you
I own
had
all
with
my
them?
masters, my publishing, and
Cool. Cool. I mean, that's important to an artist, no? Like I've never talked to this about an artist, but like maintaining the rights of your songs is would seem important, no?
I think it's very important because I think that I've been doing music 28 now, so I've been doing music for shit
You're 16 maybe? Like I remember hearing
12 years
16,
maybe,
17,
12,
right?
12.
Right.
But the first recording contract I signed was when I was 16.
Hmm.
And, you know, I mean, it's a label that I worked for, and I'm friends with my label now, Get Hip. But
Right.
they did, I signed over my publishing and I signed over my, my masters and et cetera, and then, you know, when the time comes and like somebody wants to like place your music in a TV show
Right.
or whatever, or someone wants to re-release the record. It's just I have more freedom to do what I want with my music, and I think I prefer that. I think it's
Yeah.
a little bit more more stress for me that I don't really have a label. I mean, I have Evan, and he's helped
Right.
me tremendously, but I don't have. We're kind of working on this together, and I kind of have more. I have more freedom to do what I want with my music, but I think
Right.
with more freedom and more control, there's more responsibility.
For sure. For sure. I mean, I remember like in season 4, I talked with David Lowery of Cracker and Camper Bon Beethoven, and he is now a professor in the music business industry. And he had to, because Virgin owned the rights to all their first 3 records. And they couldn't just put out a greatest hits anymore or what, a compilation. They had to always go back through their label. So what they did is they re-recorded everything. They called it the Redux. And it gave them their rights back of their songs. I mean, it was the second versions, I guess you would say, of their songs. But he said that was probably one of his biggest mistakes when he was coming up, that he just didn't know, is to keep your music yours, because if not, you have no control over it, right? Like they dictate when you can put it out and in what and how, like it's like, wait a fucking minute, this is my fucking music, what are you what are you telling me I can't do this stuff? But yeah, I think that doesn't exist as much anymore, in the sense that labels are smaller, and you know, I'm sure that the big bands out there, well, or the big artists out there, tend to not have to give up too much of their rights, but
Who
um,
knows? It's like the Wild West.
it is.
It's, you never know. I mean, you don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. And what was that like? How, what was your, like, you were talking about the recording, like you went to to California, and like where was the chunk of Battery Lane recorded? Like where did you record most of what we hear on the record today?
all of the record besides Better Days was recorded in Pittsburgh at my friend Jake Canner's studio, which he lives like sort of in the like not in the city, but like the suburbs. But
Okay.
he has a wonderful studio, and I trust him fully
Nice.
with everything that I do. And he did like some like other versions of songs and stuff that are out now on Spotify. But all the record was recorded at Jake's, and then Better Days was recorded with Matt.
Okay. Cool.
And that song was written, recorded, and mixed in like 12 hours.
Wow. Wow. They're really impressive too. Like the thing about this record is that it's so hard to pigeonhole, which is, I think, an amazing thing
Yeah.
because there are such different feelings between the songs, yet there is a thread that definitely connects them all. What was your vision when you wanted to create this record? Now, I know that your first record, First Steps, was very acoustic-y, very you, singer-songwriting, not much instrumentation. How did your mindset shift a little bit to, I want a band, I want a bigger sound, I want some fast songs, I want some not so fast songs? Like, how did all of this kind of evolve over time, Zach? Like of coming to the product of this record of and the, how you arrange the songs. How did that kind of collection happen? Was it like intentional once you had finished your solo, the first record, that you really wanted to kind of bring it a little bit more closer to the Knox Boys aesthetic, or can you expand on that a bit?
I think it was just all through trial and error. I think just sort of
Hmm.
growing up and sort of figuring out. I mean, I think that it's all just developing, just listening to all sorts of different types of music and
Hmm.
drawing inspiration from artists that I like. And I guess maybe not being pigeonholed or sort of, I keep saying pigeonholed, but not like to say it like I just like not, I guess another thing, not having a label is like
Hmm.
I can do what I want to do. You know,
Right.
I don't have to
Right.
like create this aesthetic or this like sort of
Hmm.
um it's like
Persona of
correct.
sorts.
It's
Yeah.
I mean I had producers which Chad, Jake, Josh, Jordan, and
Hmm.
Jake Hanner and Animal Scream, and then Jordan, obviously two from the Frights. But
Hmm.
uh, I think that I just kind of and Costa. I think with everybody that was involved with this record, they just wanted the best of like what like my songs that I wrote and like
Yeah.
how we could make them um, what speaks true to me as an artist.
Hmm. Interesting. And like Zach, what song started it all? Like what song off the latest that you like, what was the one that started the stream that would then eventually evolve into this record?
Canyon,
Okay. Nice.
yeah,
The
started
single, the
everything.
the top
Yeah.
top track.
I mean, I released that song and I was just running ads on Instagram and Ryan Adams found it and he reposted it and Matt
Oh,
found me and um, Reckless Eric found my music and
hmm, hmm. What do you think it is about that song that people are like connected to, that are like,
I don't know, maybe
wow,
they love that 60s sort of canned heat vibe that's like
yeah,
not like sort of common, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Because it is a very, like, it brings you, it's nostalgic a bit, but also like it's very new and fresh sounding. And
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the song you like, what do you like about that song? I don't know what
I
you.
like I like the start of it
Mhm.
because it just is so joyful as it begins. And I like how it kind of tumbles a bit. It has that kind of tumbling um feel to the lyrical play with it. Um and it's just like a solid toe tapper, like I can't like live it must be like people must just go nuts when you play that, particularly if they know the song. But I think even if you didn't know that song, you heard it for the first time, you'd be up moving. You'd have to move. You'd have to like do something with your body, because your body wouldn't be able to hold itself back. Um and it's always been something that it's a song that, sometimes you listen to a song and you're like, okay, I don't want to play it too much because I don't want to get old and not want to listen to it anymore. And I find with Canon, it's one of the few songs that I could listen to, since I first heard it, I could just keep listening and listening and not worry about it like getting old on me, in my ears. Like it just always feels fresh and exciting and fun. Um, it's always been one of my top ones. So I love how you open this new record with that song.
Yeah, I
But
think. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead. Yeah, yeah,
I think Better Days also is one that,
yeah.
like, those two just feed. I love how you put Canon first and then it goes into Better Days.
Right.
Because they just work so well as one after the other.
Yeah.
Um, really pretty. Um, what were you going to say about that?
No, I think that yeah, it's funny. I like grew up with a my friend, uh, one of my close friends growing up. It's
Huh.
like we were in bands together growing up, and you have like one of those high school buddies, and he's like, nothing I did he liked, and he's like that one song, he's like singing along and singing it like crazy. It's like this is such a loves this song Canyon,
Right, right.
and that was like the reaction I got from like a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, once that song, you kind of had that song down, did it open doors for other songs that we see on the record?
Uh, yeah, I think so. I mean, Better Days. Better Days is like very heavily inspired by Canyon. Actually, it is the
Hmm,
same.
hmm.
They're in the same exact key.
Right, right.
Um,
That's probably why the
and I think they are actually the same exact chords.
okay. Nice. a, f-
Yeah.
a
Let me
few
one
secrets
second.
of
Let
the
me
trait.
hold
Yeah,
on. Let me
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I'd always had that sense that Canon just led so beautifully into Better Days. Like,
we take
yeah,
a guitar.
yeah,
Yeah, and then Canyon is what Canyon is. That's Canyon.
yeah.
Answers your prayer
There you go.
and Canyon. You're my best friend. So that's capo
Yeah,
G at two. And then so when we wrote Better Days, we're like, Matt really, really loved that song. And we
yeah.
were at his house writing in his garden in Laguna Beach. And we just started, I was like, why change anything? Like, let's just like write another song like this. And then so we wrote Better Days. Sitting in a chair, flavored down a seat.
Right.
Waitress outside that I wanna meet. Smoking in my mind, it just won't let me be. Etc. So
Yeah,
it's the same exact
beautiful.
chords
Yeah,
as
yeah.
Canyon.
Music's amazing, eh? Like, how many songs were written in that chord that sounds so different? Like, it's just, I mean, we never get enough songs. Like, there'll never be a point where they'll be just like, no, no, that's been done before. That's been done before. It's interesting. Like, I work with kids sometimes, and I get them to do all the same things, with the same materials, same time limit, same prompts, yet they all produce something different. And I'm like, kids, hey, why, I gave you the same instructions, same stuff, same prompt. Like, why are they all different? And they come to this realization probably pretty easily. And they're like, Chris, don't be an idiot. It's because we're all different. Like, but again, the illustration that a simple series of chords put together can be rejigged in so many different ways, like, and lead to different
Yeah, because I think we
avenues,
we were like working on Better Days. I mean, we didn't work on it that long, but it's like,
right?
oh, we don't know what key it should be, and should we move up the capo here, here? And then Matt's like, he's like, you know what, Zach? Let's just do it same key. Let's do it second key.
And then it just clicked.
Yeah.
Like,
And then we
you
wrote.
said that song too, Better Days was one that just kind of flowed out of you guys. It, like, didn't take very long to.
Yeah, when we decided on the key, and then we started writing, and then I mean, I think the song started out. It just started out with like sort of a um three chords, and then I was just like, I had the Better Days line. I remember better days, and then we just started writing and talking about um like the lyrics, like sitting in a cherry flavored diner seat, like Chad and I, when we arrived at Laguna Beach, we never, well, Chad's been there before, but when we arrived there, we were at this random diner with cherry flavored diner seats, having breakfast, waiting for Matt to get back from like his like whatever meditation or whatever the heck he does. And then we went to his place and then sitting in a cherry flavored diner seat, waitress outside that I want to meet, smoking in my mind, it just won't let me be. There's a meter outside that I didn't pay, chip in my tooth. Every little thing coming down on me today. And then Matt and I were just talking about life. My dad was like really not in good health at the time, and he actually passed away like a month later after that song, and actually never got to hear the song. Um,
Yeah, I remember you had mentioned that, Zach. Losing dad, and it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Were you able, just talking of that, were you able to get some music into the therapy of kind of accepting the loss of such an important person in your life? Like, did that spur on any?
I think it made me more obsessed with music because my father was like really, really obsessed with music.
Right,
This is this is a photo of my dad playing drums. Actually, it's my wallpaper on my phone. But this is oh shit, how do I give me a second. Oops, here. That's my dad there.
Wow. What a beauty. Nice.
Yeah, but
nice. Was he a big musician as well? Like, did he play with other people as well, like music?
No, he was just like I mean, I grew up listening to his record collection, and then like he was in bands in high school, and you know, I think his peak years were his high school years. He like managed a band and booked a band around like Western Pennsylvania, and I think when I was growing up, you know, we just went to so many freaking concerts. Like I would go to concerts like 3-4 concerts a week, just like traveling places. My dad like going to like outdoor music festivals or like open mic nights or just different things. Like, I mean, not necessarily playing until my teens, but just going to concerts and seeing his friends play because like the people he grew up seeing like played in bands and stuff. So I think I just got exposed to a lot of music. And my mom, definitely my mom, was like a different sort of introduction to music. My mom was like more into like more like soul and like R&B, like Marvin Gaye or like sort of like that sort of stuff. So like my dad was more into like more of the classics, like Jackson Browne or the Beatles and stuff. But and then that definitely inspired my music journey. And then like working for a record label for like Get Hip for like 4 years and like working for like Greg and Barbara, who are the owners of that label. But I just became obsessed. I mean, I think and then playing music, and then it's like there's like no turning back now, which is kind of
right. You're locked in.
Yeah. I mean, I could have done something else with my life and maybe had a better life, but I enjoy it, and you know, it's so cool. Like I just played in LA, and it's like I played acoustic, and I've been testing that out because I played in Madrid recently acoustic, and I'd sold 70 tickets, just me and a guitar.
Wow.
And then LA was 50 tickets, just me and a guitar, and like an intimate sort of like cocktail jazzy cabaret club. But
how does that feel, Zach, compared to when you have the whole band together as opposed to just you up there alone on stage with your guitar? Like there's nowhere to hide. How does that feel for you? Like those experiences when you're doing it live?
I love both. I think it's cool. And I think it's like a cool thing about my music now. It's like I can do both. That gives
you can get a guitar and just like go to any open mic, or you can, you know, just start playing anywhere, really, right? Like you have that ability to just launch into song.
Yeah, and when I play these songs off the record, I mean, I played all the songs on the record, even 25 years, which is like a hard song to play acoustic. But I think that I just played them more like stripped down a little bit.
Right.
And do it myself. And the band is like the full thing, you know?
Right. Zach, what was the transition like between working at Get Hip and then putting out one of your records and the Knox Boys records, and then this latest one where you went off to you know, Super Sport Records? What was that transition like? Like, was it a time for you to move on? Like, is that what it felt like? Like, or were you looking for something different in a label? It brought people into your life that were different as well, I imagine. Like, what was that transition like for you?
I mean, Get Hip they distribute my album, so they distribute Battery Lane, so you can buy the record from them,
Okay.
and they carry it and they support me with my music and stuff. And Evan, it's on his label, and Evan's helping. I think both are both supportive of my journey, and they coincide with each other. But I think that there's no difference. It's just the only thing difference is that you know, I it's my little baby that I hold on to now, I guess.
Right.
And I mean, they help get my music out there to the world because they,
Yeah.
and they have been supportive. And I don't think without them, I don't think I would be where I'm at today, to be completely
Right.
honest.
Right. When did you start working for Get Hip? Has it been quite a while?
I worked, well, I'm 28 now, so I worked for them. I like in high school, like when I started the Knox Boys, I like worked at like Taco Bell or like McDonald's or like random
Hmm.
Five Guys or whatever odd job I could find, a warehouse job. And then I think I was working a warehouse job, and they have a facility in the north side of Pittsburgh, which is by the water, and there's a warehouse there. I was working at uh I forget what the warehouse was. I was like moving around like camouflage apparel or something,
Cool.
like hunting apparel. And then I went to go visit them periodically, and they're like, "Hey, you should like work here part time, like you know, labels. They're always looking for people to work for them." But
Yep.
like so, I was just like stocking CDs and stuff, and then like I was like I, stocking CDs, fulfilling orders, and then I just worked my way up, and then I started like talking to record stores. I talked to like Ox 33 tours in Montreal.
Right.
I forget what other stores. I talked to a couple of Toronto stores in
Yep.
Canada.
Yep.
Speed City Records. He's in Ottawa, I think.
Yep.
Like, he's a cool dude. But
Hmm.
I just talked to a lot of record stores, and then I built relationships with record stores around the country and the world, and then I think that also helped me as like an independent. I don't have a booking agent, so I have to book all these tours myself, which it's kind of like
It's a
thankfully,
whole other job, right? Like, I
yeah,
mean, it's a
yeah.
job.
So like I book
Mm,
all the tours, and then the Spain stuff. Luckily, my tour driver in Spain, Marika, she now is
mm,
my agent over in Spain. So I have a
cool.
booking agent over there, and then
I mean,
but
the relationships that you built are helping support your career as well. Like in the sense that everybody that all of these people and people that you've brought into your life, I'm sure you can call on for different things at different times, and like that support community is there for you that you built. Like not only did you build how your records were coming out, how they were listened to, like all of that, the design of the front cover, of how you're going to post, what tour you're going to go on, has all been a part of your fabric. And now you have all of these agents out there supporting you with it. It must feel pretty
yeah,
cool to to have all that support.
yeah, it was cool. I kind of wrapped, and then I left Get Hip when I met a girl like through my late. It's like my boss, like she was a yoga instructor, and I met
Mm,
a girl that I met through my boss, and then I moved to DC, and then
mm,
fell in love, and then I moved to DC, and then I was dating a girl in DC, and I lived in DC, and then eventually Knox Boys were doing our first European tour to like Italy and Spain,
right.
and that got canceled because of COVID, and then I got stuck in this random apartment, which was Battery Lane,
Mm,
and then that
cool.
kind of inspired the whole record, and then Canyon and all the other songs, and
Yeah. Yeah. I
uh,
was going to ask you where Battery Lane fits into this voyage of yours so far. So from Washington D.C.
yeah, it's like it's apartment, a street I lived on in the DC area, the DMV area, which is DC, Maryland, Virginia, but Maryland.
Right.
Technically, it's in Bethesda, Maryland, which is like right next to DC. And yeah, I lived in this apartment, and it
Mm,
really just inspired me when I was living on my own for the first time. And I was like out of relationship. I was no longer on a label because like I didn't work for them anymore, and I didn't have a label at the time.
right. Right.
I was like just trying to figure out how to survive.
Hmm.
And I was living in this apartment, and I would just like I was delivering Uber Eats during COVID, and like I just like would go out, deliver food, and then like come back, write songs, go back out. like I'll be like delivering like I was like delivering like a Chipotle order, and like I like was writing like I mean I have the demo right here. Hold on, let's find the demo. I got the Uber Eats demo. It's never been heard on Uber Eats demo. Canyon Uber Eats demo. Oh, here we go. One second. Let's see here.
Can
Let's
we
see.
hear it?
Yeah, one second here. Let's see. Uber Eats Canyon Uber Eats demo. It's kind of hard to see because we're on Zoom, but it says
Yeah.
Uber Eats demo. But
2021.
yeah,
Canyon, those nights. Canyon, where the water used to over the hills.
and you can hear my turn signal as I'm turning slightly. I'm just randomly singing into my phone.
Well, that's so cool, man.
And I'm eating probably food too at the same time. Not the person's food, but probably snacking when I wrote that.
That is really cool.
And I rushed home, and then I got my guitar and then started the first demo of that. And then that's when that started the whole Canyon, started everything.
Right.
Before Battery Lane.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about Battery Lane too, just as a song. Like, it's so beautiful, Zach. Like, what a great song. Where did that, like, I mean, obviously you were living there and it was your street and stuff, but do you remember how that song came to be? It's starting kind of bubbling up of that song.
I mean, that started as another demo in my apartment that I wrote. And then, I mean, I wrote the majority of that song. I eventually took it to my cousin, he was the bass player in the Knox Boys, Mitchell McDermott, and he plays keyboards in my band now. He's a very talented, like, college educated Berkeley grad. He's like a wizard at any instrument, but he helped me finish the song lyrically, but I wrote the majority of it and he helped me with some of the lines. We wrote it together, and I wrote it and then he helped me finish it. And yeah, and that kind of I don't know, I had this whole idea after that song. I was like, I'm gonna write this record, Battery Lane. I just found it so fascinating to, I don't know. I mean, I like the Beatles a lot. I like Penny Lane and like different like streets, and like having I remember I saw this album cover. I was probably with my friend Adia in Baltimore, and she was the one who designed the artwork for Canyon, like the orange cover.
Right.
I think I was visiting her in Baltimore at the time, and we went to, maybe it was like Sound Exchange in Baltimore or some record store, but we went to a record store and there's this old like 70s record. It was not like a Phil Oakes record or something, but it was like some like old like, 70s record where like the dude's on a street and there's like a sign, and I was like, wow, that'd be so cool if like I call it like Battery Lane, like make this record, and like that's kind of what that was like the concept. And then I got really into just different musicians. I was just into different music at the time, and I mean a lot of different music, but I think as far as the concept goes, like Canyon and finding like random Phil Oakes or whatever, that folk, like an old like folk record I found, kind of inspired.
Yeah. I mean, again, it comes back to the variety of this record. Like, it's just, but I think how you place the songs are so good. Like, I feel like that Woodley Park, 48-second instrumental there, track 4, like it almost feels a part of Battery Lane song. Like, it just, I know that you separated them two, but it just kind of is this beautiful introduction to Battery Lane, which comes in and just like mind-blowingly beautiful song.
Thanks. I wrote that instrumental, like the concept of it at the apartment, but Woodley Park is like, it's a neighborhood in Washington D.C., like further down from where I lived.
Interesting.
I would hang out there.
So there's definitely speckles of DC all over this record. Yeah. So Zach, kind of like as we bring things to a close here, the record's been out now for 20 days, we'll say. Yeah, 20 days.
Yeah, I need to get all these orders off of my desk.
How have you felt the reaction has been? Like, I know
it's good. It's just like, it's had too much work to do. And it's like, like I'm always like, it's like, and then like, I don't know. maybe I should have a manager, but I don't really want a manager right now. I'm trying to do everything
Right.
myself.
Yeah.
But
Don't burn yourself out, but
yeah,
at the same time, it's good to have that kind of getting to know all the parts and pieces which you've been doing most of your career now. Um, how do you see the record now with a little bit of distance between it? I mean, when you're in it, it's really because you're listening to every single little note and second, and um, with a little bit of distance from the release of Battery Lane, how do you look back and see it all here on record now on vinyl? Like, what's your reaction to this accomplishment 20 days after that you've released it?
yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's kind of a crazy thing. It's like, whatever
Hmm.
life, you can take different directions in life, and like, I kind of took the direction of like I wanted to make this album, and then
Yeah.
here it is. Yeah, it's like I could have done other things in my life, but I'm really proud and happy, and it's a record that I'm really proud of, and like I think it's
Mhm.
probably my favorite record so far in my journey as a musician.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're up in your game every release, which is, I mean,
Yeah,
ideal, right? We
it's gonna
haven't,
be hard, but
the best is yet to come, right, Zach? Like,
Let's sell some records right now, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. So what's coming down the pipe for 2025? So the record came out. I know you're touring and stuff. What are some other things that you could mention to the listeners?
You can buy the record. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, just go to your local record store and be like, "Hey, I want to buy Zack Keim's record,"
Mm-hmm.
and maybe mention that you can buy it from Get Hip. They're a distributor; they distribute all around the world, and your local record store could order the record, and you can buy it from an independent record store. Or you can buy it on my Bandcamp, or you can get on Get Hip or supersportrecords.com. It's out on LP, CD, and tape. And I'm going on tour on this Friday.
You mean tomorrow?
Correct.
Right.
And then I'm also the guy who has like plan, like, it's complicated when you have like four other guys in your band. You like figure out like where we're gonna stay and what we're gonna like, and then I get all these
Oh,
like stupid
geez,
questions. They'll text you like, "Oh man, what should we do about this problem?" Lots of putting out fires.
yeah.
But
Should I bring my capo? Should I?
yeah,
Do you got enough picks? And
yeah.
yeah, totally.
I'm like a road manager too.
How long's this stretch of tour? Like, do you have a bit of like? Is it pretty straight?
It's gonna be from Friday to next Saturday.
Okay. Okay.
But there's gonna be like a break in between Monday and Tuesday. I'll come back home.
Nice.
But it's like basically like DC out to New York, Penn State College, and then back to Pittsburgh, and then out to Cleveland, Chicago, Columbus, and Pittsburgh, back to Pittsburgh doing a home show. And then after that, I'm going out to South by Southwest to do a couple shows.
Mhm.
And I'm playing a show in Columbus again, flying back to Columbus. And then after that, the following week, I got to fly to Idaho to play Treefort Music Festival, which is like a big music festival out in Idaho.
That's a great one too.
With like
I was looking at that one.
Bright Eyes, and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, that was kind of surprising too, because the guy who runs that festival, his name's Eric, and I submitted the application, and he responded to my email for a couple of days, and his number was there, and I just gave him a call on the phone. I was like, "Hey, this is Zack Keim." He's like, "Zach, who?" And he's like, "Oh, Zack Keim, like my album's on Camp's label, like Evan's label." It's like, "Oh, you should have said that, man." It's like, "I love your album. I would love to have you." And it's like, "I'm gonna find you a really good spot." And like, there's like the festival lineup, and like there's like 3 tiers and 3 spots. My name's on the first tier. I'm like, how did that?
Nice.
That was crazy. But
Attaboy.
so I'm playing next to the main stage. And Delicate Steve's playing around the time. But around the same stage or something. But and then after that, I might go out to Portland to do an in-store. And then Seattle maybe, and then going out to Europe again, and then Spain. And I have a band in England. I have a bass player and drummer in England who are going to fly to Spain. Because it's too expensive to fly guys from the United States.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Amazing coordination, Zach.
and then I'm going out to Denver, Colorado, and then that's all I have booked right now. I'm gonna try to do like Detroit, Madison, and then Toronto as well coming up in April, in upstate New York, and then Montreal. It's gonna happen eventually. It will happen eventually. It's just like
it'll happen. Yeah, first it's gonna happen. Of course, it will happen. That's for sure. Well, Zach, this has been a real treat as always. It's great to talk with you again. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
Are you still penning tunes too? Like this came out, but you're still getting into your process now and then?
Yeah, I'm writing a little bit, but I think that right now it's just kind of heavily focused on this album and just trying to get it out there. And trying to play as much as possible. And yeah, I think that another eye-opening thing is recently doing the band shows and then doing acoustic shows. So I mean, I might be playing these cities band, but then also I might go back to these cities and play them acoustic eventually, like maybe like an acoustic tour.
Cool. That would be amazing to see too.
I think an acoustic tour, and then also I want to do a live record where like Zack Keim at like a cabaret, like sort of like cocktail bar vibe.
Nice.
And do a live album,
like a little Rufus-y style, Wainwrighty, show tuney. Oh, that would be so amazing. I think that would complement your style really nicely as well. That's such a good idea, Zach.
I think it might be like a live, like Battery Lane, like the whole album live.
Yeah.
Like acoustic or something, or a band. I don't know. I got to figure it out. But I think that'd be in Los Angeles.
Fun. Wow. I'm excited for you. And I'm happy that you got this record out. And I'm glad that you're doing all this stuff for us. I do encourage all of my listeners out there, please go and check Zach out. He's on tour. He'll be playing probably somewhere close to you, and pick his record up at the show, and also get a t-shirt and go and say hi to Zach. And he is such a lovely person, and it's just so fun to talk with you, Zach, and share. I feel like I'm that little bird on your shoulder as you're walking around. I get to see all of your experiences and live through you. So thank you. And I wish you all the best with your tour and the record. Zach, what song are we going to play it here at the end of the podcast for people to listen to?
I don't know. What's your favorite? Obviously the ones we haven't played before. We're not Canyon or Better Days. What's the one that speaks to you?
Battery Lane.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Why don't I'm going to also you'll hear at the start of this podcast, I'm going to put Woodley Park on, because I think it's a great little intro. And
yeah, definitely. Woodley Park to Battery Lane.
Absolutely. So we'll bookend this podcast with two amazing tunes. So stay tuned, people. Don't turn the thing off. Zach, thank you. I wish you all the best. It's really good to see you and talk with you. Reconnect.
Yeah.
And we'll talk soon.
Definitely, man. Thank you so much, Chris.
Cheers, man.
Travel the long road. I saw the shape of a rainbow. I love the weight of my unfinished dreams, tripping over my destiny. I gotta learn to let it go. On a Friday sepia